Greetings everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, My Hero Academia, the final season.
Yep, My Hero Academia, the final season, episode 6. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the dojo. And well, Deku's looking... It was hard to find a decent still last week. Like, I was just gonna throw up Mount Fuji, like, in the first frame of the episode here. You guys can't see it because the thing's blocking it right now, but it's just like, there's, like, nothing here. So I found that the shot of Deku reinforcing himself with Black Whip, and I was like, yeah, that's good enough. Usually I try to go like not like something super obvious, you know what I mean? Like like say like Goku going Super Saiyan, that kind of thing. I try to not go with like the obvious choice like every time. Like the obvious choice is like 10% of the time is my still, because it's like, yeah, that one was really cool, I want it, whatever. But last week, I was sitting there for like 5 minutes and I was like, there's like nothing here.
Yeah, we typically go for more like entertaining bits or whatever. We don't usually go for action shots, but there really was only action shots last episode.
Right. So with the fact that we're at Mount Fuji, yeah, that's where we're at. We're at Mount Fuji. Something we talked a little bit about that last week, with the fact that Mount Fuji is not used as much as it probably should be in anime, but you know, it is what it is. At least you're not pulling an Assassin's Creed Shadows. I think we all know what happened with that, and just recently happened again. Oh boy. That one, oof. But that's not what this video is about, so maybe we'll talk about that at some other point. But either way, the fight continues. Should be a thing. We talked about how at some point we got to resolve the Aizawa stuff. You know, Mike and Kurogiri and all that. That's still a big question mark on the battlefield. Whether we get anything on that like final like jailbreaker guy, the guy that was like a love letter to like every other anime like shonen out there, like mashed into one, you know, that guy. When we do the season wrap up, I'm gonna point him out again and just be like, if they didn't do anything with him, I'd like to ask the author, like, so this guy, like, what did you do this? Did the studio do this? Was this like an homage to like everything that we talked about? I want to know that. So that would be my question. But either way, Fight with Shigaraki's still going on. They're gonna like hammer away at that fracture in his mental state and see what they can do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm ready to push button and see what's going on with this, because there's not really much more we can speculate on. You know, how's the fight going to be won, and then how do they incorporate like the epilogue, that kind of thing. But there's nothing really to speculate on with, you know. After this episode, we'll be halfway done. I believe they did confirm that they're adding a 12th episode, like OVA, like that's like way later, like in the future, like 10 years, part of the epilogue. So they said that was going to be part of it. So I assume that'll be done and tacked on by the time we get to the end here. You know what I mean? So anyway, we're going to push some buttons and get going here. So people on Patreon, we'll see you on the other side of the edit for the timer reaction, and people on YouTube on the other side of it for the discussion and review. So here goes something. Well, alrighty then, there you guys have it. Deku went full Maze Baby Academia over here. We're still bummed out from the first time we saw that. They were like, oh, they got to keep doing this, right? And then they didn't do it again. Real bummer. I also mentioned this at the beginning of the timer reaction. I totally spaced it to do it at the beginning of just like during our intro bit. That's on both videos, but I'm gonna have to do this for every video this week, just, you know, for reasons. I don't expect everybody to watch every show we're doing, so I kind of have to tell everybody in various places. But YouTube has opted me into it's like a security feature, I guess, to prevent like, I'm sure if you guys, anybody who's seen like bigger channels, and if you ever looked at the comment section, you've seen like, you know, fake Markiplier, like fake Jacksepticeye's, or, you know, people like trying to promote, you know, just scam nonsense, right? Those kind of comments, those kind of things. So every once in a while, YouTube forcibly opts people into features without asking them if they want to be part of a beta test, whether it's on the user side or the creator side. And in this case, I've been opted into this thing where, and this has been forcibly applied to all my videos, by the way. I checked that once I saw that was a thing when I was uploading Campfire Cooking on Friday, was that to comment, now you have to be a subscriber for X amount of time, and the two options are 1 day or 1 week. I cannot turn it off. So, just so you guys know, that's the thing. It's probably a security thing to prevent what I just mentioned. So, if you want to comment, you got to subscribe now. So, we appreciate the people subscribing, obviously, but it is what it is. I understand why they're doing it, but I'm kind of surprised me down here, bottom tier of YouTube, is, the person getting this feature. Maybe everybody got it. I don't know. But I checked my other channel, like my original channel, and that wasn't an option if I went to upload a video. So it's clearly like a beta feature that is probably getting like slow-mo BO rolled out. And maybe if you're like, maybe if your channel is monetized, that kind of thing, maybe if you have enough subscribers or whatever, maybe you can turn it off. I can't. It's forced on. I checked it. The only thing I can change is the time that the account has to be subscribed to your channel to comment, which is, it's either 1 day or 1 week. So I just left it on a day. So, just so you guys are aware, I can't do anything about it. So, there you go. I gotta mention this in every video. So, if you watch all of our stuff, again, we appreciate you, and you can skip these parts. So, they'll be in the intro. I totally spaced to do it in the intro. I remembered after we finished the intro. So, I had to do it here again. But, anyway, that's what was going on in this episode. Yeah, we had this. Pretty much everything you could expect from a situation like this. We got all the past wielders being, used for what they are, hammering away at Shigaraki's memories, that kind of thing. We got all their memories intertwined, stuff like that. It was kind of cool to see just how they did those kind of like fades to the past and that kind of thing. So that was solid for that portion of the episode. We got to see Shigaraki go back to his nervous tick of, scratching. So that's a pretty good sign that he's concerned. Obviously, then like in this sequence right here, where he's like totally trying to turtle up and prevent the forcible transfer because he knows it, like subconsciously he knows it's working. You know what I mean?
He doesn't know.
He's gone into like full panic mode. He doesn't know what's happening, but he knows something bad is happening.
Yeah, he doesn't know what Deku is doing to him. He just knows that whatever he's doing to him is just absolutely freaking wrecking his mind, both in general and with freaking danger sense going off constantly.
Right. So that's another downside to danger sense is that kind of thing where if you're constantly in danger, it's from all directions, or in this case a mental attack, it's just going to be, it's like a like a warning siren going off constantly. You can't turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we talked about that kind of thing with danger sense, like the spider sense, any kind of those powers, they can help you, obviously. They also can be a detriment in these ways. So that's why he's losing it, because danger sense is definitely screwing him over here. Even if they didn't like forcibly show like the little like lightning bolt symbol for danger sense going off, that kind of thing.
They did a few times, but yeah.
It'd be kind of redundant to just kind of have it there the whole time. You know what I mean? It's definitely going off constantly. So either way, the other thing we got in this episode was May's eye. Like, we got the flashback to this. It's like, okay, at least we're using something of hers, because we did see that, like the business course students are, being evacuated, that kind of thing. So they're not recording anymore. And she has Aiba, running the broadcast basically, because she's, she's Aiba. That's what she does. So one of the things that she does, but
yeah, she's a social media hacker.
Yep. So she has all that going for her, because again, the business course students are busy evacuating the campus island, and the two helicopters that we saw later in the episode were they were like evacuating Ochako and then Hawks there at the end. So they're not recording anything either, but we did get to see like the two helicopters here landed, and they're like evacuating people and stuff like that from the battlefield at this was the Gunga site, wasn't it? Like where that was where all that stuff went down. So
yeah.
So it was nice to kind of like touch on the situation. Like, we obviously knew that everybody was in rough shape, that kind of thing, but it was kind of nice to just kind of see where everyone was at, that kind of thing, with like Kaminari, Momo walking out of the school, that kind of thing. We got this right here. We got pretty much the only thing that we didn't touch on was Endeavor's family. I'm pretty sure we got pretty much everybody else that we haven't seen in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the only thing we haven't really seen is any sort of follow up on the Shigarakis, and we haven't seen the freaking
Todoroki's.
freaking brain farting. The remaining villain.
Yeah. Which we might not get anything on at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, either way, but you know, we also got this the moment with Eri and stuff like that. With again, in case anybody forgot, like Ectoplasm, that's that guy's name. Is he mentions that like she went to try to help Aizawa when you know, she was probably going to rewind him and potentially, you know, grow his leg back, that
Fix
kind of
his
thing.
leg, his eye.
Fix his leg, fix his eye, that kind of thing. But as you know, Monoma points out, her power is like, you know, one for all. It's a stockpiler, so she kind of has to like pool energy over time. So
Yeah, that's
however
that's like the one balancing factor to her power. Her power is ridiculously fucking broken and overpowered, but it takes her a long time to build up the ability to even use it.
right. And she had recently used it to rewind, you know, Mirio, and it was
Back to
probably
the point where he had his quirk.
yeah, it was probably a pretty big endeavor because he didn't have his quirk for like months when she did
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Because she rewound him like the day before he, you know, joined, before that like operation to like go after Shigaraki and the League and all that stuff happened. So it was already like 6 months at that point or something like that. So she probably had to use all the energy she had stored up at that point just to rewind Mirio. And then the next day was when Aizawa got hurt. You know what I mean? So there was really nothing she could do. So in case anybody was questioning that timeline, at this point it's been, since that whole incident, it's been, you know, another couple months since the operation, but still, she probably still hasn't accumulated that much more energy. You know what I mean? Because Togata's thing was probably gigantic. It was probably all the energy that she had built up during her training and all that stuff when she was using it, and then just everything she had. So she to rewind just Aizawa would be you know, a massive endeavor. So let alone potentially helping Deku here, there's probably not much he can do. You know what I mean? And as Ectoplasm points out, she's hundreds of kilometers away, and the rail system is shot. The only thing that could get her there
Would be Kurogiri.
would be
Yeah.
Kurogiri. So that's probably what they're seeding here, right? Is Aizawa, Kurogiri, and Mike are going to show up here for some reason and take her there, right? Because she'll be needed randomly. I mean, even if that's not the case, showing this thing like with the Coda thing does make sense for their characters, but they wouldn't have seeded the whole like she wants to go help him thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Like, she has had a while to potentially recover from the Mirio thing, so she might be able to do something at least. But yeah, she's still quite drained from that. The Coda thing is interesting because, like, I've mentioned to you, one of the few things I do know about the freaking epilogue is that apparently, like, Coda's mom adopts Eri and they become like step siblings.
Oh yeah. So that was probably them kind of like putting that thing together there. But yeah, we'll just have to see what comes of that. But yeah, it was kind of nice to just kind of like touch base with everybody that we haven't seen in a while. And obviously now we're in full fighting Memory Town.
Yeah, we're in full mental battle now.
Right. And for obvious reasons, Shimura is the one being rejected because of, it's the two-way street of why she's being rejected. But I think let's just call it, you know, let's just call it fate is what wanted fate wanted her to see this. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it's a double thing of she's the weakest of them, but also she's also the reason Shigaraki even got this way.
Yep.
She was the catalyst that put everything into motion that caused Shigaraki to become a villain.
Yep. Because, she left her son, who was Shigaraki's father, and he was jaded against heroes his whole life because, his mother abandoned him, and he never, even as a very smart guy that he was painted as, you know what I mean? You would think at a certain point in your life that you could look at it, and as an adult, like, as you're growing up, you could resent your parent for, abandoning you like she did. But when you get to adulthood like he did, and how put together his life was and his family was, you know what I mean? He had a pretty good life, you know what I mean? You would think for a guy like him, at a certain point, it would have clicked for him based on just looking at Hero Society. And yeah, maybe he didn't have the knowledge of, what was going on with One for All, but just as a thing of somebody had to have told him at some point, or it might have clicked with him like, hey, my mom had to have given me up for a very good reason based on her hero work and that kind of thing, so it must have been something serious. And that, I guess, just never clicked for him.
Well, Nana also didn't really have that kind of history for it to freaking be brought up. She was a relatively nobody hero. The only thing that she really had going for her was her battling freaking All for One. And all that got hushed up. Like, no one really knows about her apart from the people who are in the know for One for All.
Yeah. But still, it's kind of one of those things that, like, as a reasonably, or obviously smart adult that, her son became, that he might have been able to put something together. Like, there had to have been a really good reason for this. You know what I mean? So,
all he knows from his perspective is just that she abandoned him to go continue hero work and then immediately just died without achieving anything.
Right. But still, it's kind of one of those things where you see kind of stories like that where people like have something similar to that, and they kind of like put it together. Like, do you resent your parents for doing this? Like, no, they had a really good, like when I was a kid, yeah, I hated them, but now as an adult, it's like, well, I understand it because maybe they were put in a similar situation, or they just seen something that was a similar situation. It's like, oh, well, that could be what happened with my family, so maybe I should just let it go. And if he had let it go, maybe he would have treated his kid better. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So, it is what it is.
Well, yeah, from what we saw, he wasn't even that freaking bad to Shigaraki. It was really only just the whole thing of, like, don't go in the study and don't have anything to do with heroes.
Yep.
But Shigaraki and his sister, just typical rebellious kid shenanigans, wouldn't obey those two rules, and he just kept getting worse and worse about them.
Yep. You guys, I think we all need to get like the Peacemaker, just like the coded doors, and just like lock them, and your kids will never, get into your study. Or you could have mentioned, or you could have left that picture in another locked box. How you're supposed to like say lock up your firearm, that kind of thing. Kind of like symbolically lock it away, but obviously, as Nana mentions in this episode, is that he kept it the whole time. So even with his resentment, he was still thinking about his mom, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there was clearly still more to it than we got from just Shigaraki's perspective.
Yeah. But at this point, we'll never know, because we're not really going to be tapping into his dad's memories, obviously. So.
Yeah, it's this once again, we're still just going to be getting Shigaraki's perspective here. Only now we're going to be getting potentially even more biased memories, because now we're going into his current fucked up mental state, not just the flashback of how he felt about it before.
Yep. But either way, it's all enough episode for what it was. we'll just have to see where it goes from here, what they do. But obviously, you know, based on the next episode title, you guys can see it. So what we talked about is gonna happen. So just that weird little bit of meta knowledge. But I even with that like minor spoiler, it's like it had to happen. You know what I mean? So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's right there. It's in the next episode. It says from Aizawa. So obviously they're coming back somehow. So the pieces to the puzzle are there. We're just putting them together as logically as we can. You know what I mean? Which I'm kind of surprised that I've avoided pretty much any and all spoilers, even with the show coming to an end. I've only seen like a couple random stills with like nothing behind them, which is weird. But I blocked a lot of I've snoozed a lot of random you know, of the big time spoilery like things in my feed. So that's probably why.
Yeah, I don't really have much in the way of spoilers for like the anime. The only thing I do is just I have a couple of random bits of knowledge from stuff that happens in the epilogue.
Right. So anyway, not really a huge amount more we can talk about. We just kind of got to enjoy the ride, really. There's really nothing else that we can theorize on because the last major thing is right there. It's going to be in the next episode. So that's it. We can just enjoy the ride, talk about it a little bit, and then, you know, be done. Been one hell of a ride. So, you got anything else, Age?
Not really.
Alrighty then. Well, then, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond however you're watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And this was My Hero Academia, the final season, episode 6. We're halfway there because, as I mentioned before, they apparently are tacking on a 12th like OVA, probably like big time like future thing, like, you know, where everybody is in the future, because I believe that was part of the epilogue. So they're probably going to do like an extended thing or something like that. So looking forward to that. But again, if you guys want to make comments, I know we've gotten several comments recently, but now you're going to have to subscribe. I can't do anything about it. So if you go to comment and it tells you no, well, you got to be subscribed for at least a day. I can't do anything about it. I've been forced into this, so it is YouTube. So just so you guys know. But anyway, have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.